Hi guys, Nicole Iskrig here again with Sipsy Klein Realtors. I wanted to talk about a question that's been on a lot of people's minds. There's been a lot of unanswered questions with going on with COVID-19 and the economic slowdown that we're clearly experiencing. Many are asking if the housing market is in trouble. For those who remember 2008, that is a very logical question. Many of us experienced financial loss, hardship, lost homes, and work during the Great Recession. Um, but that recession started with a housing and mortgage crisis. And today we're facing something different. We're not facing a housing or mortgage crisis. We're facing a health crisis where, parts of the economy are shut down and many parts of the country are also shut down. But I want to look at the 5 things that we know about today's housing market that are very different than what we saw in 2008. And by doing that, I want to share some slides with you, just some visuals to kind of go along with the talking points that I want to share with you today. So here we are on slide 1. This has to do with appreciation. When we look at appreciation in this visual, there's a big difference between the 6 years prior to the housing crash and the most recent 6-year period. Leading up to the crash, we had much higher appreciation in this country than we see today. In fact, the highest level of appreciation most recently is below the lowest level we saw leading up to the crash. Prices have been rising lately, but not at the rate they were climbing back when we had runaway appreciation. The next slide has to do with, let me get to that. Sorry, just bear with me. The next slide shows you the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. It's a monthly measure by the Mortgage Bankers Association that gauges the level of difficulty to secure a loan. The higher the index, the easier it is to get a loan, and the lower the index, the harder it is to get a loan. Today, we're nowhere near the levels we saw before the housing crash in 2008, when it was very, very easy to get approved for a mortgage. But after the crash, we all know that the lending standards tightened up, and they've remained that way leading up to today. The next visual I want to share with you is the inventory, the number of homes for sale. One of the causes of the housing crash in 2008 was an oversupply of homes for sale. Today, it shows you that we actually have a very different picture. Many of you know that we've had low inventory for years now. There's not enough homes on the market for people to even buy. Across the country, we have less than 6 months supply of inventory, and which is an undersupply of homes versus an oversupply of homes going into the 2008 crash. And now I want to talk about the use of home equity. This next slide kind of details that. It shows the difference of how people are accessing the equity in their homes today as compared to 2008. And in 2008, consumers were harvesting equity from their homes through cash out refinances and using it to finance their lifestyles. Today, consumers are treating the equity in their homes much more cautiously. In the next slide I want to share is home equity today. 53.8% of homes across the country have at least 50% equity. In 2008, homeowners walked away when they owed more than what their homes were actually worth. With the equity the homeowners have now, they're much less likely to walk away from their homes. And so that kind of concludes the slides, but I just want to, let me go back. I am sorry, bear with me. So the bottom line that I just kind of wanted to share with you is that even during this crisis, it's causing different challenges across the country, but they're very different than 2008. We had a housing crisis. Today, we are in a health crisis. What we know is that housing is in a much, much stronger position than it was in 2008. It's no longer the center of an economic slowdown like it was back then. Rather, it could actually be the thing that helps this economy in the downturn that we're in. And I just wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions, David and I are here to answer them. And as always, we are thinking of you all. Please stay safe. safe.